tight, man. Listen close. The motherfucking haters in the barn, man. The haters in the barn. You don't take too much, but you kill yourself tonight. Just do you. Do you. That's your prep. Do you. Let's go. Keep going.
We've all had this game circled on our calendars all year long. I mean, given what happened in last year's Super Bowl, obviously we were all looking forward to this, especially me as a Dallas Cowboys fan and a supporter of Patrick Mahomes that despises the Philadelphia Eagles, but always analyzes them in the fairest way possible on this channel. I've been waiting for this game for quite some time. Before we get to the content, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to help the channel grow, because this is our second upload of the day. Now that we got all that out of the way, work! For the last month and a half, I have plugged in the same freaking ad in each and every video to remind you guys that every single time PrizePicks does this, we end up making money. Last time it was with a Steph Curry free square. This time, it's for Thanksgiving, so we have a few days to lock this in. All Christian McCaffrey needs is 1 yard, which he's gonna get a yard in order for his square to convert, which means we only need to get 1 pick right in order to 3x our money, or 2 picks right to potentially 5x our money. I'm gonna post my picks onto my Instagram at The Flight Mike, and make sure you use my promo code Mikerophone to double your deposit up to $100 when you join PrizePicks. It's worth a shot because historically we have a great win percentage on this. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? For those of you guys that forgot how last year's Super Bowl concluded, the most controversial call had to do with James Bradberry having a flag thrown on him that essentially gift wrapped the game to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you either believe that the call on James Bradberry was very legitimate, and even he himself admitted it was legitimate, or you thought it was BS and it shouldn't have been called in such an important game to begin with. And either side makes complete sense depending on if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan or a Philadelphia Eagles fan. You see what I mean when I say I'm fair in my assessment? But there's one thing that we all have to agree. It was one of the most competitive Super Bowls that we've seen in recent memory. This wasn't like when the New England Patriots faced off against the LA Rams 4 years ago. This wasn't close to when the Seattle Seahawks faced off against the Denver Broncos in what was the most disappointing Super Bowl that I've ever seen 10 years ago. This was a neck and neck competitive game with remarkable showings from both Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. It was high scoring, and at the very end of it, it left all of us emotional because that was the last bit of football we would get for about 9 months. What's beautiful about this matchup is it's very rare for the two teams that made it to the Super Bowl the year prior to meet once again in the regular season. And what's so awesome about this is both of these teams are pretty much in the same position that they were in last year. The undisputed best team in the NFC is the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's factual. This is coming from a Cowboy fan. They are the best team in the NFC just by looking at their record. Going into this game, they're 8-1. And for the AFC, the best team in the AFC is kind of a toss-up in my opinion between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs, but going based upon how the Chiefs historically always waltz into the AFC Championship at minimum, I'm gonna give the advantage to the Kansas City Chiefs. But don't get me wrong, I think this year could potentially be the Baltimore Ravens year, considering how the AFC got significantly weaker via injury, through injury to Joe Burrow, and a bunch of other factors that I don't want to get into because this video is 100% about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. While I did say the Philadelphia Eagles are the best team in the NFC, and while I do also believe that last year they had one of the easiest schedules in the NFL, that isn't the truth this year. The Philadelphia Eagles have a very rough stretch of games leading into the playoffs, starting with the Kansas City Chiefs, then against the Buffalo Bills, then against the San Francisco 49ers, before facing off against the Dallas Cowboys, and then facing off against the Seattle Seahawks. All very formidable opponents, which should really be a good test to determine whether or not this team can be as dominant as they were last year. But I know what you guys are more concerned with. What about Taylor Swift? What about Donna Kelsey? Well, Donna Kelsey was escorted to the game by private security. No, I'm not kidding, that actually happened. Taylor Swift is bringing her own family, and yes, we are making a drinking game based upon how many times she's shown during this nationally televised game. So here's how the game would go. Now, what I found really funny about this game was there's a decent amount of foreshadowing. Do you remember when Eagles fans were complaining about the field during the Super Bowl being too wet? There was a whole sod father controversy where they felt like the grass was prepared in a way where it was way too moist, which made it more difficult to catch the football. Well, in the very beginning of this game, Sean Bradley, no, not that Sean Bradley, but Philadelphia Eagles linebacker Sean Bradley attempted to roast the Kansas City Chiefs and said, hey, the field isn't slippery tonight, huh? Meaning that you're gonna lose because the field isn't gonna be slippery tonight. And then the game started out, and it was definitely more wet than it was during the Super Bowl, because this time the game started out raining. And here we go. The game would start out exactly how we were expecting, with both the Chiefs and the Eagles giving us back-to-back 3-and-outs. But following that, the Kansas City Chiefs would put together a lovely drive that would already give us our very first controversial play. Patrick Mahomes would give us a signature Patrick Mahomes moment, scrambling and finding Justin Watson in the end zone on a jump pass touchdown. Signature Mahomes. But already there was a controversial no call. Donovan Smith is no stranger to this type of situation. If you take a look at Donovan Smith on this particular play, it looks like he may have gotten away with the hold here. Again, we like to call it evenly on this channel, even though I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. It seems like immediately the Philadelphia Eagles would answer back. It seemed like every single play, at least for this particular drive, involved DeAndre Swift, and man, what a steal DeAndre Swift has been for the Philadelphia Eagles so far. I mean, I gotta give it up to Howie Roseman. This man is a wizard whenever it comes to roster construction. But the Philadelphia Eagles would tie it up at 7 apiece with a 4-yard DeAndre Swift touchdown. The Chiefs would go 4-and-out following that, and when the Philadelphia Eagles would get the ball back, we would get our next interesting, I guess slightly controversial play. You see, Jalen Hurts would get picked off by L'Jarius Sneed, but after he got picked off by L'Jarius Sneed, it seems like A.J. Brown was able to strip him. You can make a legitimate argument that the interception was incomplete or L'Jarius Sneed fumbled it, but instead he was ruled down. And if you take a look at this picture, it seems like the reason why he was called down was because A.J. Brown touched him the moment he went down. So the play was called dead following the L'Jarius Sneed interception. As a result of this, A.J. Brown was very animated and emotional towards Jalen Hurts on the sidelines. And bro, I don't know what's up with Jalen Hurts. This man is such a robot in these situations. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but Jalen Hurts has been going viral for his post-game interviews. This man never slips up and always says the right thing.
Some of those downers you've had in the past, has that helped? Has that driven you, or have you always been that guy?
Yeah, you know, I carry my scars with me everywhere I go. I don't forget. Do I waste my energy worrying about the opinion of someone else, opinion of a sheep? No. But I truly invest my focus in me getting better as a team, getting better as a player, getting better as a quarterback, and doing the things I need to do for my team. So everybody in their opinion don't deposit at the bank.
So you can see that Jalen Hurts is taking it in stride. Devontae Smith is trying to calm down A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's just a very emotional and passionate person, and obviously this game means a lot to both sides, so I don't blame him for being animated because he felt like the Eagles could have got a touchdown there if Jalen Hurts got it out a little quicker. The storyline of the first half, at the very least, was both defenses, not offenses, but both defenses would make these phenomenal plays, and the offense that would follow wouldn't be able to capitalize upon them. For example, Jalen Hurts would get intercepted here, and Patrick Mahomes would go on a 9-play drive that would result in him getting intercepted by Kevin Byard in the red zone. That's something that you don't typically see from Patrick Mahomes. And what would follow after that is the Philadelphia Eagles would go 4-and-out and punt it. So this was a very defensive game. And it was something that I was sort of expecting because the Kansas City Chiefs are significantly better on defense than they were last year. And at least in the first half of this game, the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs were able to score 2 touchdowns and were able to keep the Philadelphia Eagles contained was primarily because of their defense and Isaiah Pacheco. The Philadelphia Eagles allowed 121 rush yards in the first half alone, which is an insane amount. And when Patrick Mahomes and company would get the football back following the Philadelphia Eagles punt, they made the most of it. Now this drive started off with a bang. Kadarius Toney gave the Kansas City Chiefs an awesome return that essentially already set them up on Philadelphia's own 45. Now this is what I I found to be a little interesting. Patrick Mahomes was looking for Travis Kelce on third down, and for some reason, the refs didn't call this a defensive pass interference, but instead there was an offsides penalty on this, so I guess they didn't really care very much. Mahomes would scramble for 11 yards, and he would get a first down, but if you take a look at Jalen Carter on this play, you can make an argument that he was once again held. I mean, just being fairly objective in my analysis here, take a look at Jalen Carter, look at him fall down. In my opinion, that's a hold. It looks like the refs just didn't call that one again, but this would eventually result in Patrick Mahomes finding Travis Kelce for a touchdown to go up 14-7 against the Eagles. Now, the Chiefs would force a quick 3-and-out and drive up the field to kick a field goal before halftime, put themselves up 17-7. And in the second half, it was very defensive once again. The Philadelphia Eagles would drive down the football field and score a touchdown. That wouldn't come until halfway through the third quarter, because once again, this game was incredibly defensive. The next significant play would come in the middle of the fourth quarter when the Kansas City Chiefs would drive all the way down to the red zone and Travis Kelce would fumble the football back to the Philadelphia Eagles. Luckily for the Kansas City Chiefs, they were able to force the 3-and-out on the Eagles, but still, that was 2 red zone turnovers for the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles would get the ball back, and first DeAndre Swift would come down with a 20-yard reception, and eventually Jalen Hurts would throw up a beautiful 41-yard pass for Devontae Smith, get the Philadelphia Eagles to the goal line, which is practically a touchdown, especially if you're the Philadelphia Eagles, who would just push it in to score the second touchdown of the half. Up until this point, the Kansas City Chiefs have been absolutely scoreless, and it's been all Philadelphia. And ladies and gentlemen, before I get to the final play that I know you're all waiting for me to discuss, I want to say that the Philadelphia Eagles played a phenomenal game. You can't use the ref ball excuse because, well, both sides had ref ball. Both sides had terrible calls and no calls by the referees. I don't think it was really skewing in one way or the other. Also, another thing to take into account is it was raining. So, yeah, the ball was definitely slippery. There was a lot of wide open passes that I expected Travis Kelce to catch, but he wasn't even able to catch it. So also bear that in mind, but I don't want this to be seen as me taking anything away from the Philadelphia Eagles defense and the heroic drive that Jalen Hurts put on in order to put the Philadelphia Eagles in a situation to win the game, even though I freaking hate the Philadelphia Eagles. So on 2nd and 10, with a minute 48 left to go in the game, Patrick Mahomes found Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who beat Bradley Roby beautifully down the field, literally dropped it into his hands, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling dropped it. No, seriously, like he wasn't even able to come down with it at all whatsoever. And I guess just watching the quarterback arc of Patrick Mahomes coming full circle for me was a little depressing in this game. I mean, when Patrick Mahomes was starting in his second year in the NFL, he had Travis Kelce, he had Tyreek Hill, he had Kareem Hunt, he had a solid offensive line. And it seemed like year after year, you just saw those pieces get taken away from him, right? I mean, he loses Kareem Hunt due to the incident that Kareem Hunt had. Hasn't really had the same running game since, except this year it's gotten a little bit better. It's not anywhere near what it once was with Kareem Hunt, but it got a little bit better. 2 years ago, he loses Tyreek Hill, but the Kansas City Chiefs decide to make investments in defense, and it's paying off. And it seems like the attempts that they have tried to make in order to get Patrick Mahomes some brand new targets to throw to just haven't really been paying off. Now, bear in mind, it was raining in this game, but we saw similarities of this in the past, and this isn't the first time the Kansas City Chiefs struggled with second half offense. As a matter of fact, they have the worst second half offense in the NFL this season, ranking 32nd. And this was just put on display on national television for everyone to see. Is it something that could be fixed? Most definitely. I mean, there's still a lot of ball left to play. The Kansas City Chiefs are always in the conversation to make it to the AFC Championship. They have yet to miss the AFC Championship since Patrick Mahomes has taken over under center. It's just a difficult situation that they've never faced before that they have to figure out. And it's significantly more dire than it was last year. Their wide receiver core is a little bit worse than it was last year. Don't get me wrong, Rashee Rice is remarkable. He's a revelation. He has a very bright future in the NFL. He might be a Pro Bowler in a couple years' time. But just depending on Rashee Rice and Justin Watson, and then throwing periodic bombs to Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who might come down with the pass or he might drop it. It's kind of like a coin flip. As a matter of fact, it's worse odds than a coin flip for Marquez Valdes-Scantling to come down with those types of plays. The Kansas City Chiefs are just desperately missing Tyreek Hill, which is very fair to say. It sucks not to see a wide receiver out there that is capable of making the most of these incredible plays that Patrick Mahomes is able to make. The play that they drew up for Marquez Valdes-Scantling was the right play. It was beautiful. It was the correct call. If they were in the same situation, they should go for that again. He just wasn't able to come down with it. And it's an unfortunate reality that the Chiefs have to face for the rest of the season. And when the offseason comes by, maybe they take a swing at a wide receiver to help out Patrick Mahomes in these situations. Because, man, it's so painful watching Patrick Mahomes having to play with wide receivers that aren't capable of making these incredible plays that could win him very important games. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.